They can't even hear you, babe. They can't even hear you. Huh? I don't know.
Valentine's Day, the streets glow with dazzling lights. Couples exchange roses. Love fills the air. But for Chasity Sparkman, Valentine's Day 2024 was not a celebration of love. It was the last night of her life. Sacramento, California. 11:15 p.m. Lake Crest Village Shopping Center parking lot. A seemingly harmless meeting. A 26-year-old mother agreed to meet her ex-husband, Isaiah James, to discuss co-parenting arrangements. She thought it was just a simple conversation between two adults. She believed that no matter what happened, they would always be parents to their two children. But she had no idea she was walking into a trap. Isaiah didn't come alone. He didn't come to talk. He came to end it all. A gunshot ripped through the night. A body collapsed, and just minutes later, Isaiah and his new girlfriend disappeared into the darkness, leaving a lifeless woman lying motionless in the parking lot. But what he didn't expect was this. The police were after him, and justice would not let him escape. This isn't just a murder case. It's a wake-up call for anyone trapped in a toxic relationship. Welcome to Echoes of Crime, where we bring you real-life criminal cases and the hidden truths behind them. Like, share, and support the channel so we can continue bringing more eye-opening stories. Chasity Sparkman was more than just a mother. She was a daughter, a sister, a determined entrepreneur, and a friend who radiated warmth to everyone around her. Born and raised in Sacramento, California, in a large family with 20 siblings, Chasity was the glue that held everyone together. She wasn't just a sister. She was the peacemaker, the bridge, the heart of the Sparkman family. Chastity's greatest love? Her two young children, Zai, 8, and Priscilla, 6. They weren't just her kids. They were her purpose. They were the reason she pushed forward, the reason she fought every day to build a better life. Chasity never stopped learning. Alongside being a devoted mother, she was studying psychology at Sacramento City College. But what made her special wasn't just her love for education. It was her relentless drive to shape her own future. She was a self-made businesswoman. Beauty products, from eyelashes and wigs to other cosmetic essentials. Balancing school, business, and single motherhood. Chasity was proof that no obstacle was too big for a woman who refused to give up. She loved life. Her social media reflected a woman full of energy, always sharing precious moments with her kids, her friends, and her community. She spread joy. She taught her children how to embrace happiness, no matter what life threw their way. But what no one saw coming. A woman as strong as Chasity, as full of life as she was, had it all stolen from her by the very man she once loved. At first, Chasity Sparkman and Isaiah James were the perfect love story. Best friends turned partners, deeply connected by their shared dreams and unwavering belief that their love could withstand any hardship. They built a life together, raising two beautiful children, Zai and Priscilla. Isaiah was once a devoted father, spending time playing with his kids, sharing laughs and being present. Chasity loved him unconditionally, believing that no matter the challenges they faced, their bond would remain unshaken. But us love isn't always enough. And for Chasity, that truth would become painfully clear. When Isaiah was sentenced to prison, everything changed. At first, Chasity held on, determined to keep their connection alive. She took his calls, updated him about their children, and reassured him that they would get through this. She wanted to believe that time and distance wouldn't break them. But Isaiah wasn't the same man anymore.
Babe, who got bars like you? Love me. You on my mama, you didn't. You on your mama, you drew that. Oh my God, you drew that for me. Wow. Can you? Is there any way you can put it in a big thing? It's not. You gonna have to fold it down.
at 2:30. And they was like, well, we don't got no another one before.
Say hi to my knee.
And he was like, no, 5:30.
We drew a picture of me. Hey, I look cute. Y'all look bad as fuck. That's what we my meeting. Huh? I do not know. I don't know who on here.
And I'm wondering, what about tip today?
I don't know if do you have the
The phone calls became relentless. At first, they were filled with longing and affection, but soon they took on a different tone. The conversations turned possessive, suffocating. What are you doing? Where are you? Who's with you? Do you have someone else? The questions were constant, insistent, as if he no longer trusted her. Isaiah's insecurity grew into manipulation and control. He accused her of infidelity despite having no proof. He made her feel guilty, even when she had done nothing wrong. He twisted her words, making her question herself. Chasity had always been independent, strong-willed, but slowly, she started changing. She was more careful with her words, more cautious with her actions. Not because she had anything to hide, but because she wanted to avoid another exhausting argument. The warning signs became impossible to ignore. Her friends and family unnoticed the shift. She went out less. She shared less. She laughed less. On social media, she still posted smiling pictures, moments of joy with her children. But hidden behind the screen, the reality was far different. Then came the moment she had long awaited. Isaiah was released from prison. Chasity hoped that his time away had given him clarity, that perhaps being reunited with his children would change him, that their relationship could finally move forward in a healthier direction. But what she didn't expect was just how much worse things would become. Isaiah was no longer just controlling over the phone. He was there, in person, watching, questioning, demanding. She wanted to leave. She wanted a fresh start, a life where she could focus on her kids, her career, and her happiness. But Isaiah wouldn't allow it, and he wouldn't let her go. He couldn't stand the idea of losing control over her. Toxic relationships don't start with a bullet. They start with control, manipulation, and the red flags that are too often ignored. And for Chasity, she saw the truth too late. Valentine's Night 2024. A night that should have been filled with one mom. A night meant for romance. A night where couples exchanged roses, whispered sweet nothings, and celebrated their devotion to each other. But for Chasity Sparkman, Valentine's Day became the night her world ended. 9:45 p.m. A message that changed everything. Her phone buzzed. A message lit up the screen. It was from Isaiah James. "We need to talk, for the kids." She hesitated. Chasity had been doing everything in her power to keep things civil between them. Despite everything that had happened, Isaiah was still the father of her children, and she didn't want tension, so she took a deep breath. She agreed, but she wasn't reckless. She made a smart choice. She picked a public place, the Lake Crest Village Shopping Center in Sacramento, a well-lit, busy area where people were still around, a place where she felt safe. What she didn't know was that this meeting had nothing to do with their kids. She was walking straight into a trap. 10:50 p.m., surveillance captures her last moments. Security cameras caught Chasity's Chevrolet Blazer pulling into the parking lot. She parked near a streetlight, deliberately choosing a spot close to the entrance. She was careful. She was aware. She texted her sister, "I'll be home soon. Just a quick talk." She had no idea that would be the last message she'd ever send. Isaiah was already there, and he wasn't alone. Sitting in the passenger seat beside him was Anab Burgos, his new girlfriend. They were waiting for her as if everything had been meticulously planned. It only took 10 minutes. Chasity stepped out of her car. She saw Isaiah standing a few feet away. She kept her distance. She didn't want to fight. She just wanted to have a quick discussion and leave. But Isaiah had other plans. "You think you can just walk away?" His voice was cold, unreadable. "Isaiah, I just want to talk about the kids. I don't want to argue." "You think you can just erase me from your life?" His dark eyes burned with something dangerous as he took a step closer. Chasity felt the air shift. Her instincts screamed at her. Something wasn't right. She took a step back. Her heartbeat quickened. Then Isaiah whispered something that sent a chill down her spine. "I love you, Chasity, but if I can't have you, no one can." A gunshot tore through the night. Chasity collapsed onto the pavement. Her body hit the cold asphalt as blood pooled beneath her. She gasped for air, her mind racing in disbelief. This wasn't happening. This wasn't real. This was Isaiah, the father of her children. But Isaiah didn't stay to watch her take her last breath. He and Annaba jumped into their car and sped off, disappearing into the night. 10:58 p.m., a scream shattered the silence. A passerby had seen everything. They dialed 911, but by the time the police arrived, Isaiah was gone. Chasity Sparkman, a mother, a fighter, a woman full of life and dreams, was left to die alone in a parking lot. She thought when a public meeting for the sake of their children would be safe. She thought Isaiah would never hurt her. She thought Valentine's Day was about love. She was wrong. She never knew that Valentine's Day would be the last day of her life. February 14th, 2024, 10:58 p.m., Sacramento, California. A gunshot ripped through. The quiet Valentine's night. A sound that shattered the illusion of peace, replacing it with fear and chaos. A frantic 911 call was made. A passerby, frozen in horror, had witnessed a woman collapse onto the pavement in the parking lot of Lake Crest Village Shopping Center. A pool of blood quickly spread beneath her body, staining the cold concrete. The victim? Chasity Sparkman. A mother of two, a woman full of life, now motionless, her final breath stolen in an instant. By the time officers arrived, the shooter was already gone. Isaiah James and his new girlfriend, Anab Burgos, had vanished into the night. No witnesses saw which direction they fled. No one knew where they were headed. But in one thing was clear. This was no random act of violence. A nationwide manhunt was launched. 11:30 p.m., the entire crime scene was locked down. Detectives scrambled for leads, knowing in every passing second meant the suspects were getting farther away. Surveillance footage from nearby stores was reviewed. Gas stations along the main roads were checked. Every vehicle remotely matching witness descriptions was stopped and searched. But Isaiah had planned this. He and Anab never went home. They didn't linger in Sacramento. They were already en route, escaping California. An arrest warrant was issued immediately. The names Isaiah James and Anab Burgos spread across police databases nationwide. News outlets broadcasted their photos, warning the public to be on alert. The FBI was brought in. This wasn't just a local case anymore. It was a full-scale federal investigation. 1 month on the run, a nationwide chase. February 16th, 2024, spotted in Nevada. Police rushed to the location, but by the time they arrived, the fugitives had already disappeared. February 20th, 2024, a new lead surfaces in Texas. Anab Burgos withdrew cash from an ATM in Dallas. A vehicle matching their new description was seen on Interstate 35, before vanishing into the Texas night. March 5th, 2024, an anonymous tip is received. They're somewhere on the East Coast. but of no city, no address, no certainty. Isaiah and Anab kept moving. They switched cars frequently, paid only in cash, and avoided hotels with security cameras. But no one can outrun justice forever. March 14th, 2024. The end of the chase. New York City, a city of millions, a city where anyone can blend in. But Isaiah and Anab made a mistake. A routine financial sweep. By federal agents flagged on a transaction from Anab's bank card at a small grocery store. And there they were, Isaiah James and Anab Burgos, hiding in plain sight. FBI agents mobilize. At 10:45 p.m., a SWAT team was deployed. The hotel where they were staying was surrounded. 11:10 p.m., officers moved in. Isaiah tried to run, but he had nowhere left to go. Both suspects were tackled to the ground and restrained. Just like that, the month-long chase came to an end. Cuffed, arrested, dragged out of the hotel in the dead of night. 1 month of running, 1 month of pursuit. But now there was nowhere left to hide. Justice had finally caught up with them. March 14th, 2024. The arrest of Isaiah James and Anab Burgos. After a month on the run, Isaiah James and Anab Burgos were finally caught in New York City. For 30 days, they had evaded authorities, moving from state to state, changing vehicles, using only cash to stay off the grid. They thought they were untouchable. But no one can run forever. That very night, they were placed in handcuffs and escorted onto a flight back to Sacramento. The chase was over. There was no more running, no more hiding. The only thing waiting for them now was justice. The charges and indictments. March 18th, 2024, Sacramento County Courthouse. The courtroom was packed. The tension in the air was thick as the judge began reading the charges. Isaiah James was charged with first-degree murder with special circumstances. This meant he wasn't just accused of killing Chasity, he had done so in a way that warranted the harshest punishment possible. Anab Burgos was charged as an accomplice to murder. She wasn't just there that night, she played a role. Isaiah faced the possibility of life without parole, or even the death penalty. Anab, though not the one who pulled the trigger, still faced up to 25 years in prison. Neither of them reacted. No remorse, no shock, just cold, empty stares. The crime was no accident. The evidence was overwhelming. The prosecution was relentless. They laid out the case piece by piece, brick by brick, until the entire courtroom saw the undeniable truth. Security footage from the parking lot, showing Isaiah confronting Chasity the exact moment he raised his gun and pulled the trigger. Phone records, filled with threatening messages Isaiah had sent to Chasity in the days leading up to her murder. Recordings of their tense phone calls, where Isaiah's jealousy and anger boiled over, his tone filled with resentment and control. Forensic evidence. The murder weapon, a Glock pistol, registered to Isaiah James. This was not a crime of passion. This was not a heat-of-the-moment decision. This was a cold-blooded, premeditated murder. And as for Anab Burgos, she had been there. She had watched it happen. She had stood by his side as he took Chastity's life and then fled with him. That made her more than just an onlooker. It made her an accomplice. March 25th, 2024. The trial began. Outside, a crowd gathered. They held signs. They carried candles. They demanded justice. But inside, Isaiah sat emotionless. No regret, no apology, no acknowledgement of the pain he had caused. But the prosecution wasn't about to let him remain silent. If this was just a tragic accident, as you claim, why did you flee? Why did you and Anab switch vehicles, use only cash, and avoid cameras? And why, on that security footage, does it show you raising your gun and firing without hesitation? Isaiah had no answers. For the first time, he sat there, realizing there was nowhere left to run. A sentence that could not be escaped. April 12th, 2024, the jury reached its verdict. Isaiah James, life in prison without parole. Anab Burgos, 20 years in prison. No appeals would change this. No loophole would save them. There was no way out. For Isaiah, this was his fate now, a prison cell for the rest of his life. For Anab, 2 decades behind bars, time to reflect on the role she played in an irreversible tragedy. A family left in pieces, 2 children without a mother. 2 children, Zai, 8 years old, and Priscilla, 6 years old, lost the most important person in their lives. They lost their mother to violence and their father to his own hatred. They clung to their grandparents, unable to fully understand why their mother was never coming back. A whisper between them, a promise. To raise these children with love, to keep Chastity's spirit alive, to ensure that, despite everything, they would have a future. Justice had been served, but the scars would last forever. Every year, thousands of people become victims of relationship violence. Too many lives are stolen, not just by their abusers, but by the silence that allowed the abuse to continue. Chasity Sparkman wasn't just taken by a single bullet. She was taken by the warning signs that were overlooked, the red flags that were ignored, and the silence that gave her abuser power. Toxic relationships don't start with physical violence. They start with control, subtle at first, then growing stronger until the victim feels completely trapped. The warning signs you can't ignore. Control. They demand to know where you are, what you're doing, and who you're with at all times. Manipulation. They make you feel guilty for having boundaries, for saying no, for making your own choices. Threats. Phrases like, "If you leave me, I'll do something drastic," are not empty words. They are a warning. Isolation. You start losing connections with friends and family, not because you want to, but because they push you away from the people who care about you. These signs are not normal. They are not love, and they should never be ignored. If you or someone you know is experiencing control, manipulation, or threats, get help immediately. Call a domestic violence hotline. Reach out to a trusted friend, family member, or support group. Keep records of threats and abusive behavior. Your story deserves to be heard. You matter. Your safety matters. Don't stay silent. Speak up before it's too late. Chasity Sparkman should still be here. She should still be holding her children, building her future. But now all that remains is pain and a lesson we cannot ignore. Relationship violence is never just a private matter. If you see something wrong, speak up. If you feel unsafe, seek help. Like, comment, and share this video. Share Chastity's story to raise awareness and protect others. Subscribe so you don't miss these critical stories. Every story is a wake-up call. Don't let tragedy repeat itself. Take action before it's too late. We cannot change the past, but we can save the future.